What's happening? Happy Monday to all of you. Thanks for joining me as always. And it's been a while since week one where we had a victory Monday, but here it is. It's a victory Monday. We'll get into the game, the win against the Jets from yesterday, but we'll actually start with some breaking news. Earlier today, Joshua Usha was traded to the Kansas City Chiefs for a 2026 sixth round pick. Now, many people might be surprised by what the return was for Usha. Some might be disappointed. Some might be frustrated. I'm not really surprised. I'm not frustrated. I'm not upset. I'm not disappointed in the return. Now, would I have loved a better return? Of course. You always want the best return that you can possibly get for a player. But let's be honest about Usha and where he has been. He's been on the trade market forever. I mean, he was on the trade market last year. He was on the trade market this year. The Patriots have been taking phone calls for the last couple of weeks. I have to imagine that this is the best offer they could get for Usha. And don't forget, they turned down a fifth-round pick at last year's deadline for Usha. So if his value was a fifth-round pick last year, what do you think his value is on the market right now? It's not great. He's a year older. He's playing less. He is walking into unrestricted free agency, so he's going to be a guy that's going to be available in free agency in just a few months. He has not been producing on the field. Very limited production, and this is not just this year. This goes back to last year. He is a sub-pass rusher. That's what he is. Now, will the Chiefs get more out of Usha? Probably, because the Chiefs will be up in games more than the Patriots are up in games. To get the most out of Usha, you need to be a competitive football team. You need to have a lead. You need to make sure you have third and medium or third and long where you can throw Usha out there where he can be that substitute pass rusher. That's his role. That's what he does for a football team. He's not very good against the run. So when you've got Patrick Mahomes, you've got the Chiefs, you've got Andy Reid, I would imagine that offense is going to score some more points than the Patriots will moving forward. They will have more leads, which will give more opportunity for Usha to be out there in these pass rush roles for Spags. But when you look at this specific situation with Usha and the Patriots, he doesn't have a big role whatsoever. He has 20 and a half career sacks. 11 and a half of those came in one season back in 2022. So when you look at all the other years he's been here, he's been a 9-sack guy over several seasons. So he's not an elite pass rusher. He's good, but he's not an elite pass rusher. He's not going to play against the run. He's an impending free agent, substitute kind of guy. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised whatsoever that this was a sixth-round pick in 2026. There's just not a lot of value there for Usha. The writing was on the wall. He had limited snaps against the Jaguars in London. He was a healthy scratch yesterday. And when you have a veteran who is a healthy scratch right before the trading deadline, you could pretty much feel confident that he's going to be traded. And if he's not going to be traded, the conversations are happening. So I don't think Elliott Wolf fielded a bunch of phone calls for Usha and teams were willing to give up a fourth-round pick, a fifth-round pick. That's just not the reality. It's not the reality of the situation. He just did not have a ton of value. And if I'm the Patriots, I'd rather take a sixth-round pick in 2026 than nothing and let him walk, because that's what they were looking at. He's not going to be on this team next year. He's not a fit, not playing really. So, I mean, when you look at the scenario for the Patriots, it's you let him walk for absolutely nothing in the offseason, or you get some kind of lottery ticket for him. So you get the lottery ticket of a sixth-round pick next year. Nobody's going to be doing cartwheels about a sixth-round pick in 2026, but it's better than nothing. And for people, because I know there's going to be some people who say, but Nick, they could have got a compensatory pick for Usha. No, they're not going to get a compensatory pick for Joshua Usha. It's not going to happen. The Patriots have $100 million in cap space. As soon as they go into the offseason and they spend money on a big ticket item, then the compensatory formula is done. It's over. Once you sign, once you use money, go into free agency and sign a big name, put some big money on the table for somebody, the compensatory formula is wiped away. So you're not going to get a third-round pick for Joshua Usha in the compensatory formula. It's not going to happen. So you either walk away with a pick, even if it's a lottery ticket, you walk away with a pick, or you walk away with nothing. I'll take the pick. I will take the pick. So those are my thoughts on the Joshua Usha trade that we learned about just a couple of hours ago. All right, let's get into this win. Can you believe the Patriots won? Can you believe the Patriots won? Before the season kicked off, I had this game as a win. Home game against the Jets. I figured they'd steal one away from the Jets. But as we said last week, no possible way could I ever pick the Patriots to win a football game with everything that was going on. I mean, you think about last week, the drama, the talk, the wide receivers coming out and yapping. Mayo calling his team soft on Sunday, then backtracking on Monday. It felt like this team was teetering towards completely going off the rails. And I said it on Friday, I did not need to see a win yesterday for me to feel good about the program. I needed to see this team compete. And they went above and beyond competing because they won. Home underdogs against a very talented, desperate Jets team. Was it perfect? Of course it wasn't. If you're expecting this Patriots team to be perfect in any category, good luck to you. They're not a very good football team. They have not been a very good football team. And moving forward, they're unlikely to be a good football team the rest of this year. You take the wins when you can get them. And with all of the drama, all of the noise, all of the questions about Jerod Mayo, yesterday was set up. We said it on Friday. How would this team respond? How would they respond to Mayo? How would they respond to the drama and the noise? Will they compete? Will they fight? Will they show some of that toughness and grit that you want to see from a football team? And we saw all of that yesterday. Again, nobody's sitting here telling you it was perfect. And the Jets absolutely played a role, being the Jets. But this team responded. This team did not tap out. This team did not quit on its head coach. This team did not quit on each other. They responded. They won a football game as a home underdog against Aaron Rodgers and a much more talented team. And they did that by showing resiliency. That's the first word I think of when thinking about that win yesterday. The Patriots were resilient. You're called out by your head coach, and they responded by playing harder. They responded by playing with energy. And they're down 13-7. They're down 13-7. Jets have the football. And that was a situation where the Jets score there. If the Jets can score and they go up 20-7 before the half, you feel like that game would pretty much be done, right? You would say 20-7 rather at halftime. This game's over. They're not coming back. Drake May's out of the game. They got Jacoby Brissett. There's no way they're coming back against a double-digit deficit against this Jets team trying to get to the playoffs. There's just no chance they're coming back. But the stop before halftime, when they're down 13-7, they get the football back. That's a huge stop. And that shows, again, resiliency. They could have folded up their tent. They could have packed it in. They could have went home. But they fought back. Down. Jets have the football. Things aren't going great. Lost your starting quarterback. But you punched back. You showed that resiliency. You came up with the stop that you needed. Speaking of quarterback, shout out to Jacoby Brissett. Now, was Brissett awesome? Of course he wasn't awesome. If you're expecting Brissett to be awesome, that's a you problem. We know who Jacoby Brissett is. Even at Jacoby Brissett's best, he's somebody somewhere in like the 20s when you talk about starting quarterbacks in the league, right? At his very best. But that was a professional win by Brissett. He was ready. He didn't take anything for granted. His number was called, and he was ready. And he was ready in the biggest moments. He had four significant third down conversion plays on the last two drives. Let's go through them. Patriots down 16-14. They've got the football. It's a 3rd and 11. Shotgun play. Brissett hits Hunter Henry down the seam, 12 yards, first down. Same drive. Down 16-14. 3rd and 9. Again, shotgun formation. Hits Tyquan Thornton on a crossing route. Shout out to Tyquan, who actually caught the football this time. Broken tackle. Thornton makes a move, picks up 14 yards, first down. Then you're down 22-17. After that prior drive gave you a field goal. Down 22-17. It's 3rd and 9. Again, shotgun formation. Jacoby Brissett scrambles for 15 yards, first down. 3rd and 10. Down 22-17. Shotgun formation. Jets blitz. Brissett finds Kayshon Boutte against Sauce Gardner downfield for that great throw and catch. Big-time chunk play sets up the Patriots to eventually win this football game. Not one, not two, not three, but four significant third down conversions from Jacoby Brissett on the final two drives in this football game led you to a victory. That's big-time stuff from a backup quarterback who obviously wants to play right now, right? He wants to be the guy. He wants to be the starting quarterback. He's not happy, but he's professional. He gets it. One of the reasons why they signed Brissett. How about safety? You want to talk about more resiliency? What about the safety position? Kyle Duggar, late scratch due to his ankle issue. We all know about Jabril Peppers. Who knows if he's going to play again for this football team? So what do? Jonathan Jones, he's only playing 30 snaps, trying to pick the pieces of the puzzle back up and put it together. And that's what the Patriots did. Jones plays 30 snaps, no Duggar, no Peppers, but you find a way. Del Pettis, undrafted free agent, played almost 40 snaps yesterday. Marte Mapu, he picks it up. Jalen Hawkins, he picks it up. Finding a way. Was it perfect? No, but it was resilient. Even the wide receivers, and we'll get to them a little bit later with their drop issues, but even the receivers showed some resiliency. Some bad drops early, right? Kayshon Boutte had a couple of bad drops. Tyquan Thornton had that terrible drop downfield, but they showed resiliency. Thornton on that big third down play in the penultimate drive, getting that first down, picking up 14 yards on the crosser. Boutte making that catch downfield, that sliding catch downfield, which kept hopes alive, and then catches the slant route on the goal line. It was a half foot short of scoring that touchdown, but that shows resiliency. Yes, I was pissed, just like all of you watching them drop the football. I was at the game yesterday, if you can't tell by the color on my nose and cheeky cheeks today. I was at that game, and yes, I was as frustrated as everybody else watching them drop passes, but I give them credit. They didn't fall apart. Boutte did not mentally check out of that game. 2 big catches in the fourth quarter. Thornton did not mentally check out of that game. Big catch in the fourth quarter. That's the type of resiliency and fight back that you want to see from a team. Christian Ellis, defensive pass interference in the end zone in the first half, right? Tough. I think it was the right call. The Gonzalez DPI was even tougher, and I thought that was a terrible call. But Christian Ellis gets the defensive pass interference in the end zone. What did Ellis do? Did Ellis cry about it? Did he tuck his tail? Did he hide in the corner? No. Christian Ellis kept playing football and had a damn good football game yesterday. Resiliency, punching back. I have a lot more thoughts on this game, including Drake May, who I will get to in a minute, but don't forget to do us a couple of favors. Takes very little time, doesn't cost you any money to do so. Click that thumbs up as you're watching YouTube. That thumbs up, it's a like button. More likes means more eyeballs. That's how the YouTube algorithm works. So hit that like button, that thumbs up button. Stay with us. Throw a comment in. What did you think of the resiliency from this football team yesterday? What'd you think about that win? Let me know. Throw a comment in. Of course, again, I'll say it. It wasn't perfect. It was far from flawless, but it was a damn good win by this team, given the circumstances. So I want your thoughts on that. So don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, and subscribe. We're just about 250 subscribers away from hitting 5,000 subscribers on this channel. If you enjoy the alternative, if you enjoy something different, listening to Patriots Talk, this is the podcast for you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Spotify, Apple Pods, friends, rate and review. That helps us as well. Jump to a super chat before we get to Drake May. Charlie with a $10 super chat. Thank you, Charlie. Felt great putting the lights out on the Jets season as well. Yeah, it did, right? It did. I have an industry friend, Jake Assman, who does some online content as well. He's been a radio host similar to me. He's a big Jets fan. And boy, oh boy, Jake was taking a victory lap week 3. And you know, sometimes you just got to be petty. So I went back to those old tweets from Jake week 3. He was all pumped and jacked about the Jets beating the Patriots. Yeah, didn't go so well for him yesterday. Feels like the Jets season is over. So yes, that was the icing on the cake, so to speak. Again, Charlie, thanks for the 10. All right, let's talk about Drake May. Let me first say this. He stayed out there way too long. He stayed out there way too long. Being at the game, I obviously didn't see the replays of him getting the helmet-to-helmet hit. So I was surprised. I was surprised because he was in the game, right? At the end of the first quarter, still in the game at the beginning of the second quarter. He goes off the field, and then all of a sudden, that next drive, Jacoby Brissett comes out. I'm saying to myself, he's got to be hurt. Drake May's got to be hurt. Where did he get hurt? How did he get hurt? It's one of the things about being at the game that's tough, right? So I really had no idea. So I go on Twitter, I'm like, oh man, concussion. And I saw the replay of the helmet to helmet. And he was clearly dinged. I mean, when you watch that, after that hit, Drake is slow to get up. He needs help from his teammates. He's a little bit groggy, and you can see it. You can see it. And I can't believe, I don't know what the independent neurological consultant is doing for the NFL on the sidelines. When you see a quarterback take a helmet-to-helmet hit like Drake May did, and you see him take a little bit longer than usual to sit back up and get up on his feet with help of his teammates, I have no idea what you're doing. Everybody's just sitting around. That is the independent neurology expert on the sideline. That is their role to step in and say, wait a minute, dude just took a helmet-to-helmet hit, didn't look right getting up. We got to test him out. But Drake May stayed out there. There's an offside call on the Jets, right? Then you got the commercial break. So you have an offside call. You have the entire commercial break. What's that, 2.5, 3 minutes at least? Nobody says anything to Drake May. Nothing is happening for a full commercial break. And then he goes back out there and he plays not one, not two, but 3 more plays after the commercial break. What are we doing, NFL? I mean, we just saw Josh Allen a couple weeks ago get knocked out on the field. Certainly looked that way. And Allen, they take forever to realize that Allen was out, and then they test him, and the testing process is just like that, and he's back out there on the field within 6 minutes of real time. Yesterday, I thought Drake should have been pulled. Somebody has to say, wait a minute, let's pull Drake May. He needs to be looked at. Clear helmet to helmet. And yes, I thought it should have been a penalty. Thought a flag should have been thrown. But he's out there. You got the offside. You got the commercial break. Then you got 3 more snaps. In one of those 3 snaps, he took a sack. So a guy who was concussed, clearly dinged before you knew he was officially concussed, he stays in the game, mistake by the independent neurological consultant on the sideline. He's allowed to stay in the game, and he plays 3 plays after that, and he takes a sack. Now, thank God he wasn't hit in the head again when he was in the pocket taking that sack. Could have dodged a major bullet there. So I thought they were slow on the trigger. May should have been out well before the point he was actually taken out. That's on the NFL. And I don't know how it's not a penalty on Sherwood. I know people will fight and they'll debate that and say it was a late slide by Drake May. I still feel like he ducked his head, went helmet to helmet pretty clearly to me, and I've seen flags thrown on a lot less than that. So I thought it should have been a flag. Now let's talk about Drake May before the concussion, before he left this game. Thought he was good. There's this battle with Drake May when you watch him. Sometimes he'll leave the pocket a little early. I thought he did that 2 or 3 times yesterday. Thought he left the pocket a couple times early. I thought one of the sacks was on him as well that he took. But, there's the good and bad with that, him leaving the pocket. Yes, sometimes he'll just scramble quickly. He'll make up his mind. He'll say, okay, I'm just going to run. Even if there are guys open, he won't wait that quarter of a second and he'll run. Natural instinct. Now, sometimes that's not good. But, of course, May is very athletic and he can make the most of those kinds of plays. And it's very difficult to be too harsh on May when he's leaving the pocket early, but he's picking up 12 yards, 17 yards, 15 yards. When he's running for, 46 yards or whatever yesterday in the first quarter, it's very difficult to harshly criticize Drake for running because he's usually successful when he takes off. So there's going to be that give and take of leaving the pocket maybe a little bit too early every once in a while, but also making plays with his legs. I thought the early shot to Kayshon Boutte on the first drive, it was 3rd and 4 or whatever. I thought that Drake May predetermined he was going to go deep to Booty on that play. And that play had no chance. Had no chance. But he did that against Houston, going back to the first start, right? He saw the pre-snap read. He saw man-to-man. He gave his receiver a shot. He gave his receiver a shot again yesterday on that first drive. It didn't work this time. Other really good stuff, though. The 3rd and 6 throw to Henry to convert early on was a good throw. It was a good in-rhythm throw. Maybe a little bit high, but it was in rhythm. It was a good throw. The Tyquan thing. I mean, can we just talk about this for a minute? I tweeted this out. I quote tweeted the throw that Drake May made to Tyquan Thornton yesterday. Let me tell you this. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Nick C Radio. Where is it? Right there. Right there. You can follow me at Nick C Radio. And I quote tweeted the video from the end zone angle. There are not a lot of quarterbacks in the league that can make that throw that Drake May made to Tyquan Thornton yesterday. He's rolling out. He's launching off pretty much 1 foot. He rips it 35, 40 yards downfield. It's an anticipatory throw because he's throwing it towards the sideline as Tyquan is darting towards the sideline. That's an anticipatory, very, very difficult throw. And May put it right there. May put it right on Thornton. You could argue that is Drake May's best throw so far as an NFL quarterback. Now, we know that Thornton dropped it, but that's not on May. That's a hell of a quarterback play by Drake May. And that's the kind of special play that you see, and you say to yourself, this dude could be great. He could be. He's got that potential because not many dudes in the league can make that throw. Not many at all. Maybe like on one hand. And he's able to make that throw. That's the special talent. Those are the special traits I talked about as we got ready for the draft in April. That kind of throw. That play to Tyquan Thornton. That's why Drake May ain't Mac Jones. The lazy people that were trying to compare Mac Jones to Drake May. The people that didn't watch Drake May play in college. That's the kind of play that there's no way on God's green earth that a quarterback like Mac can make that throw. A quarterback like Drake can. Special traits, athleticism, top-tier arm. It's all there. Wish Thornton caught it. And that was one of 2 drops that May had to deal with. But his running, I mean, it's almost impossible to play man coverage against May because his ability with his legs, and the Jets found that out yesterday. You try to play man coverage. They try to play man coverage with a spy on that touchdown run. You're playing man, you got 1 spy. Drake beats that spy. It's game, set, match. And that's what happened. Jets in man coverage, spy on Drake. Drake gets by that spy, beats him, touchdown. And so it's incredibly difficult to play man coverage against a quarterback that has that athleticism like May because he's going to burn you over and over and over again like he did in the first quarter against that Jets defense. The Jets had to play differently yesterday than they played back in week 3 because Drake May is different than Brissett. Obviously hoping for a quick recovery because all the experience for Drake is huge for him, and it's also big for this team's offseason. If he continues to show out like he did yesterday, there are going to be players in the league. There are going to be offensive players in the league that watch Drake May, the touchdown run, that throw to Tyquan Thornton. They're going to watch him and go, there's something there. There's something there. I want to play with that guy. I believe that guy can be good. So the more that Drake gets out there, the more he plays, the more he shows of that, the better opportunity the Patriots will have in the offseason to maybe go sign a T. Higgins because T. Higgins sees this play out. So hopefully he gets back. Hopefully he's good. And it's not going to hold him back for a while. I'd be surprised if he played this weekend, by the way. I would. Usually guys miss at least a week when they go into the concussion protocol. He's in the concussion protocol. So I'd be surprised if he played against Tennessee. But hopefully he's back for Chicago. Jump to a couple super chats. I have a few more thoughts on yesterday and the good, and then we'll get into some of the not so great. ATH, $2 super chat. Thank you. In here like swimwear LFG. Thank you. I appreciate you. Chris Chapman, $10 super chat. Just happy to be talking about a win. Yeah, I am too. It's been a while, right? Go all the way back to week 1. 6-7 weeks of talking about bad football and drama and the things that they weren't doing right. It feels good to talk about a win on a Monday, a victory Monday, our second of the year. Thanks for the 10, Chris. Much appreciated. All right, let's talk about the pass protection. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe to this podcast. Help us out. Click that notify bell as well. I thought the pass protection yesterday was good. Couple issues in the first half, from Brown, which was expected. He's going against Quinnen Williams. We talked about that on Friday. Not surprised that Quinnen Williams made life miserable a few times for Matt Brown. Trey Jacobs gave up a pressure or two in the first half. But overall, that's the best offensive line play we've seen all year long when it comes to pass protection. And now it's, a couple times the last 3 weeks that we've seen this offensive line, this specific offensive line. When you've got Vidarian Lowe at left tackle, you've got Michael Jordan left guard, you've got Brown at center, you've got Owenu back at guard on the right side, and you've got Jacobs at the right tackle. It's the second time in 3 weeks we've seen that starting five, and it's the second time in 3 weeks they've done pretty well. The pass protection has done pretty well. Yesterday's pressure rate, according to Next Gen Stats, was 30.8%. That is crazy low compared to what we saw the first month and a half this season. We were talking about pressure rates over 50% the first few weeks of this season. Yesterday, under 31% pressure rate. Very good job by those guys up front. Doug Kyde posted yesterday that the Pro Football Focus in-game tracking had Ben Brown for 4 pressures, 2 sacks. Again, Quinnen Williams, tough matchup. Demontre Jacobs had 3 pressures. I thought at least 2 of those were in the first half. Vidarian Lowe gave up 2 pressures. Not a bad day from your left tackle. RAndre Stevenson gave up 1 pressure. Michael Jordan gave up a sack. And, of course, Jordan had that big holding penalty on the chunk play downfield to Hunter Henry. Michael Owenu, in-game tracking, 0 pressures, according to Pro Football Focus. Pro Football Focus, their in-game tracking had the Patriots at 30.6% pressure rate. Again, pass pro was damn good compared to earlier in the year. Mark Daniels posted today, Patriots offensive line versus the Jets. Here's what they had. Brown gave up a sack and a hit. Jacobs gave up a hit. Owenu gave up a hit. Brissett took a sack, so one of the sacks was on Brissett. And the team gave up a hit, which usually means running back, tight end, somebody missed a chip, on and on. So good day. So a good day for that offensive line. They deserve credit. Those 5 guys, again, 2 out of the last 3 weeks, they've done their job. Pass protection-wise. Run game, we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's talk about Hunter Henry, Mr. Dependable. Now, I know the stats won't jump out at you, right? But Hunter Henry made like 3 or 4 big plays yesterday. Second offensive possession, which led to the Drake May touchdown run. 3rd and 6, shotgun formation. Good pocket for May. Again, offensive line doing their job. Hunter Henry slant, first down. Big play, kept the chains moving, ends up in a touchdown drive. Then you have the eventual field goal in the 4th quarter on that drive. You had a 3rd and 11. Brissett in the gun. Hunter Henry down the seam, 12 yards, first down, move the chains. On the eventual game-winning touchdown drive, you had a 2nd and 10. Brissett in the gun. Out route to Henry. This was the high throw. Remember that? That a high throw to Henry, and he plucked it out of the air. Good coverage. Good coverage, high throw. Henry somehow comes down with the football. He gets you 11 yards. First down. Again, move the chains. So Hunter Henry didn't have 10 catches for $150 or anything crazy. But when you look at those 3 catches, they came in crucial moments. And all 3 of those plays by Hunter Henry helped continue to move the chains. And eventually those drives finished with points. So Henry's kind of Mr. Dependable. I thought the run defense was better yesterday. And some might say, well, they still ran over 100 yards. I get it. But when you look at the first half, I watched the game over again this morning. First half, the Jets' second possession, that was really the only time the Jets consistently were able to run against this Patriots defense. That second possession, they had, I think, 3 runs for over 30 yards during that possession. That was a rough possession. But as the game went on and as they went into the second half, the run defense played better. In the second half, there were only 3 runs that entire half where the Jets ran for more than 5 yards. And there were multiple run stuffs from that defensive front. So as the game went on, that Patriots run defense played better and played much better than what we had seen in the last month or so. Anthony Jennings made a couple of plays. I thought Jelani Tavai made a couple of plays after a very rough few weeks. Devon Godshaw made plays. We talked about Christian Ellis earlier. He made some plays. So the run defense was much better yesterday compared to the dumpster fire it had been the last, 4 weeks or so. And I credit Demarcus Covington. Look, I am fair. If the coaching staff isn't very good, if they struggle with play calling, if they make mistakes, I'm going to be all over them. But when they do well, they change some things, I'm going to give them credit. And Demarcus Covington deserves credit for yesterday's game. Defensively, the Patriots were much more disciplined against Aaron Rodgers. And yes, Rodgers was less mobile than back week 3. There's no doubt about that. Godshaw talked about it in the postgame. But still, Keion White, there's one specific play that sticks in my head. Keion White's on the edge. The Jets try to run the football at Keion White. White does a great job at keeping contained on the edge, sheds the block, comes up with the run stuff. Anthony Jennings did it 2 or 3 times yesterday. Those kinds of plays, the discipline, they weren't losing their pass rush, right? They weren't getting too far down the field with the pass rush. They didn't have guys going inside and Rodgers seeing it and being able to extend plays to the outside. So the discipline was much, much better against Rodgers yesterday than it was week 3. Covington changed things. They played more single high safety. You go back to week 3, they played a lot of split safety. Yesterday, they played a lot of one safety, single high. That's it. Putting more bodies at the line of scrimmage, something we talked about the last couple weeks. And something else they did was they were less cute defensively. They weren't screwing around pre-snap, post-snap. Greg Bedard wrote this about Covington today. I especially loved what the Patriots did on defense. They stopped trying to fool everyone with pre- and post-snap looks. They just played physical, man-to-man coverage for the most part, which freed up more defenders in the box. They were aggressive and dared the Jets to beat them with all their weapons. They took it to the Jets instead of being punching bags. It's precisely what we had talked about the last couple of weeks. I want to see more man coverage. I wanted to see more aggressiveness up front. I wanted them to put more bodies at the line of scrimmage from time to time. Covington did all of that yesterday. He did all of that. Did all of that. You saw it time and time and time again. So shout out to Demarcus Covington. He had a good day yesterday. They made some good adjustments, and they played much better because of it. All right, have some more thoughts. I want to talk about RAndre Stevenson. First, Terry Grant with a $50 super chat, a Victory Monday $50 super chat. Nick going to the game was our lucky charm. I don't know if I want to take credit for that. I did say on Friday, most of you probably thought I was crazy paying money for tickets to go to that game yesterday, but I had a great time. Met up with my friend Amy. Kelly and I went out there, met up with some friends at the tailgate area, drank some beers, shotgunned a beer for the first time in probably a year or so. The last Patriots game I went to, I'm guessing, because I don't do it often anymore. So a little bit of the college cattles came out yesterday. Quick shotgun of a beer before we made our walk to the game. And I thought the crowd was pretty good yesterday. Got blasted by the sun a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, look, it was a win. And I had a young kid behind us. I don't know how old he was. He was like 3, 4 years old, 5 years. I don't know how old. Small kid. But, man, oh, man, is the best. Yelling at the refs. Talk about BS. The dad was hilarious. Took a liking to my friend Amy during the game, this little guy. So it was a great day out there. It's a great day out there. And I just want to see him compete. I kept saying it throughout the game to Kelly. They don't have to win. I just want to see them compete. And they did more than compete. They won the damn game. So I'm not going to say credit for it. But it felt good to be there to watch a win. It felt good to spend money to see a win. Because last year I spent way too much money to watch that awful New Orleans Saints game. Brutal debacle. After the huddle. And again, thanks for the $50 super chat, Terry. ATH, $5 super chat. I don't know about Johnson from Carolina. I think there could be better options for us. Sutton maybe. Hyatt probably makes that cash. Thornton drop. Catch that. Thornton drop. So ATH is reacting to one of my tweets. People are not getting the tweet joke yet. I totally stole it from Stool Greeny, Barstool Sports, Celtics writer, where like when somebody becomes available, especially at like a position of need or a sexy name, Stool Greeny will tweet out a picture of Brad Stevens. He used to do this with Danny Ainge. So I've been doing this with Elliott Wolf pretty much for every wide receiver that's out there. And people aren't really picking up what I'm putting down yet. Might take some people a couple of years. I don't really believe that Elliott Wolf's going to be in on every single receiver. So don't take all of those tweets as legitimate tweets. But I appreciate the super chat from you, ATH. Anonymous, $10 super chat, just willing to enjoy the day after a win. Go Pats. That's right. There's nothing wrong about feeling good about a win. There's absolutely nothing wrong. I've said this from the beginning, and hopefully all of you believe me when I say this, and you've seen this play out as you've, hung out with this podcast before. I give credit when credit is due. I will criticize when criticism is necessary. And I thought the coaching staff, they weren't perfect yesterday. I'll get to some of that in a little bit. But look, Demarcus Covington had a damn good day. The team responded to Gerard Mayo saying what he said in London. It was a great win for them. So I'm happy. I think all of you are happy, if not most of you, and you should be, because it's a win. We don't know how many we're going to get this year. This team is still looking like a 4 to 5 win team. When you get the win, you get the win. What's fascinating, honestly, I'm not going to go too far deep into this because people will say, oh, that's Homer stuff. But really, they should have won that Seattle game. The coaching let them down. Some of the strategy stuff didn't work. They could have won that Seattle game and should have won that Seattle game. And Jalen Polk, that call in the end zone, I don't like the rule. But if Jalen Polk's able to get both feet down legally against Miami, and he had some space to do that, they beat Miami. So, I mean, yes, this team is, 2-6, but it's not like, you look at those games and now you feel a little bit better because the last, the few weeks in between there, you're getting smoked. You got smoked by the Jets. You got smoked by the Niners. You got smoked by the Jaguars after getting up 10-0. So if you can get back to more of those Seattle, Miami, Jets yesterday, Cincinnati, get back to those kinds of games where you're just competing, I think many of us will take that. So thanks for the 10 again, Anonymous. Thank you for the super chat. Very much appreciated. All right, let's go over a couple of more good notes, and then we'll get to some of the not so great before we wrap it up. RAndre Stevenson, I think, is going to be overlooked in this game because his stats don't scream awesome, right? You look at his rushing statistics and all of that, and you're not going to get knocked over. But I thought RAndre Stevenson had a good game yesterday. The 2nd and 15 catch. Do you remember that play? That was a great play by Mondre. Jacoby throws it high. Ramondre has a defender right there with him. And Stevenson, running back, he jumps up. He plucks it in the air, similar to Hunter Henry's catch that I talked about earlier. He plucks it out of the air. It's a great catch. And then he keeps his feet inbounds down the sideline, a little bit of a spin move. And you went from a 2nd and 15 to a 3rd and short. Huge. Gigantic play from RAndre Stevenson, and not a play that every running back in the league can make. If RAndre doesn't catch that football, make that move, keep his feet in bounds, get down the sideline for, 14 yards, you're looking at a 3rd and 15. That drive's pretty much dead. But that play, that leads to the 2nd touchdown of the day. It's a 4-point swing because Mondre makes that play. The game-winning touchdown. That's a tough run. Doesn't look like it. Tough run. Taylor Kyles from CLNS tweeted this out. Stevenson's rushing stats yesterday. Stevenson had a season-high 123% of his rushing yards were after contact. Most missed tackles forced, 7 since the opener against Cincinnati, where he forced 10 missed tackles. First game with 2 touchdowns since week 6 of 2022. Again, yards after contact, 2nd most missed tackles since week 1. So you look at the stats, I think they're misleading on RAndre Stevenson. He had a lot of tough runs in that game. He had that stiff arm run where he cut it up and gained 5 yards. That was a great run. I thought RAndre, he competed, he ran hard, and he made some big plays for them when they needed it. Speaking of big plays, last good point about yesterday, huge punt return from Marcus Jones in the third quarter. You get a touchdown on that first drive of the second half because of that great kickoff return, or punt return rather, from Jones. If you don't get that punt return, I'm not sure you score, right? That made it very easy to find the end zone. So that was a huge play after the half. You're down. Your first possession in that second half is made much easier by a tremendous return by Jones. Just great stuff. Not everything was great, though. We'll get to some of the bad in a minute. We are now almost 41 minutes into this podcast. It's all been positive, so don't be throwing shade at me. I do want to get to some of the stuff that wasn't so great, because there are some things this team still needs to work on. As we get ready for that in a minute, don't forget to give us that thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. More likes, more eyeballs. You get it by now. Don't forget to comment. Marcus Jones, your thoughts on his punt return. Fantastic play. Throw that in. Don't forget to throw a comment in. Don't forget to subscribe. Trying to get to 5,000 subscribers. We're about 250 away from that. We can make that happen if we keep on pushing. And, of course, my friends that listen on Spotify, Apple Pods, On Demand, rate and review. Greg Fields, $5 super chat. Thank you for the 5, Greg. Tomorrow we can point out the problems, but we won against AR and the Jets. Well, not tomorrow, Greg, because unfortunately I do this podcast Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So if I point out, I can't wait till Wednesday. If I point out some of the stuff on Wednesday that wasn't great, people will say, oh, my God, Nick, it's 3 days, 4 days after a win. Are you really going to bring all this stuff up? So let me just touch on a few of the things that, again, need to be improved upon, which is fine. This team is not a great team. We know it. Again, it was a great win yesterday. They're not going to be flawless. Couple things. Wide receiver drops, obviously. Thornton drop, Bourne drops, Booty drops. That can't happen, especially when you're talking as much as those guys talk in the room. Jaylen Powell already having his drop issues. So you can't have these guys just dropping the football all over the joint. So wide receiver drops. The run game without May. Again, I thought RAndre Stevenson was damn good, the opportunities that he had. But the run game, they need to get that going. The second offensive possession, when Drake May was in the game, that touchdown drive, the run game was great with May, and Stevenson had a couple of good runs on that drive. But after that, not nearly enough. They need to get that offensive line run blocking better. My hope is that with more continuity, if they can stay healthy, sounds like they got out of yesterday's game with health on the offensive line, which is great. They need to build continuity. That offensive line needs to run block much better. I thought Alex Van Pelt was a little bit better yesterday. I thought he was a little better. I thought he attacked the perimeter. I know this isn't a bad thing, but I'll slide it in here because, again, we talk about the run game. I thought AVP attacked the perimeter with, several toss plays. They played with tempo at times. They went no huddle a few times with Jacoby Brissett. They had tight ends, linebackers at times lined up as fullbacks. They had some good motion stuff. There was one play where you had Gibson and Pop Douglas both in the backfield, and they had Pop run motion right at the snap, and they gave it to Gibson. It didn't result in a big play, but again, it was different looks. Van Pelt, I screamed about this last week, and he deserved the criticism. He was running a lot of the same kind of run plays into the brick wall of Jacksonville's defensive front. I said, change some things up, throw some tosses, throw a pitch, have some more motion. And he did some of that yesterday. So I thought Van Pelt was slightly better yesterday, and that's good to see that improvement. He threw a flea flicker in there. Didn't result in a big play, but it resulted in a little drop off to Hooper for several yards. So there was some creativity from Van Pelt yesterday. It was good to see. But back to the not so great first half penalties. Look, Gonzalez, I thought that defensive pass interference was trash. Thought that was a terrible call. But I also thought it was a makeup call because they missed a hold on Gonzalez earlier on Devontae Adams. Christian Ellis, his defensive pass interference in the end zone. Marcus Jones had a hands to the face. Again, you got to try to stay away from those kinds of penalties. Marcus Jones, I thought, had a rough day yesterday on defense. Again, great punt return. So you tip the cap to him on that. But defensively, he was targeted 8 times, gave up 5 catches for $113. Garrett Wilson's a very tough matchup for Marcus Jones, okay? So I don't think it's embarrassing by any stretch that Marcus got beat by Garrett Wilson as much as he did yesterday. But it just kind of reminds you that Marcus is not really, up to the task of playing outside cornerback 2 against some of the better receivers in football. And he was pressed into that role because you put Jonathan Jones on the back end to play safety. Jonathan only played 30 snaps. I'm not sure if Jonathan was fully healthy, so he played 30 snaps, and you needed to put somebody on the outside. They obviously do not trust Isaiah Bolden, so they went with Marcus Jones. Some of it is size. He's just not big enough. There was the one play down the sidelines. I thought he had great coverage. Wilson was just bigger. There's nothing you can do. You can't ask Marcus Jones to grow taller, be bigger. So some of it is size, and that's why it's tough for him to be an outside cornerback against a lot of these matchups, especially against Wilson. So some of it was size. I thought Rodgers made a couple of good throws to Wilson as well, but he was open too often. Clock management. I thought it was a really good day for Gerard Mayo yesterday in the big picture, getting the buy-in, getting the team to respond. But again, clock management at the end of the half. Now, I will say this. I know it's debatable, and I'm not telling you it's unreasonable, the other side of the debate, that people say, well, you had Jacoby Brissett get into the game, and Mayo has said this. So Drake May was out. The game plan was all about Drake. Drake's out, and Gerard said, I just wanted to get to halftime pretty much, put our heads together, adjust, figure out what we want to do with Jacoby the rest of the way. I get that. And they picked a lane. So I can't be as upset as I've been in the past because at least they picked a lane at the end of the half. A $1:51 on the clock, 2 timeouts. They picked a lane. That lane was let's run the football. Let's run the football and let's just end this half. So at least they picked a lane. I didn't like the lane they picked. Again, I think it's reasonable to say Brissett in the game. We want to get to halftime. I would have been more aggressive. Because you have 2 timeouts. The Jets don't have a single timeout, so they can't control the clock. So, even if I would like to see more aggression at the end of the half when you've got almost 2 minutes on the clock and 2 timeouts. I think that's way too conservative, even given the idea that Jacoby Brissett's now in and Drake May is out. I think it's too conservative. So I think they picked the wrong lane. I would have been more aggressive. But again, I don't think it was as egregious. As some of the other things that we've seen. I think you be more aggressive and you go for it. I mean, you got a 1-win team, right? 2 minutes. Veteran quarterback, 2 timeouts. I'm going to be more aggressive in that spot. I think it's a little too conservative, a little too white flaggish being thrown up the pole. But look, I don't think it's as bad as what they've done in the past, so I'm not going to kill them for it. The other thing, though, I will say, at the end of the game, Patriots took a timeout right after the Keyshawn Boutte catch at the goal line. Now, I don't know if Gerard took that timeout because he wanted the league to look at that play, wanted the refs had to have a little bit more time to think about whether or not Boutte got in. I thought it was the right call. I thought it was short of the goal line. But using that timeout with 25 seconds was strange because you gave the Jets a chance to get the football back. The Patriots could have just run the clock down to 3 seconds, called a timeout, and run the last play. They could have done that because the Jets had no timeouts left. So it's a 4th and goal. That's the last play of the game if you handle the clock a certain way, right? Now, again, it's much like the end of the half. If Gerard Mayo says, I took a timeout because I wanted the refs to think about it a little bit longer, I can't kill him for it. But you're looking at a 4th down, 4th and goal on the half-yard line. You know the game's down to that one play. You have 2 options. You can call the timeout and hope the refs are going to change their mind, which they didn't. Or you can wait to call the timeout, let the clock tick down to 3 seconds, call the timeout, get your best play in, and then go for it, right? You know you're going to go for it. You need a touchdown to win. So if you run the clock down to 2 or 3 seconds and you run that final play to Stevenson, then you could have that done, right? Then you can run that play. Stevenson runs in. Now there's really no time on the clock. Jets never get the ball back. So I think that's a little – I think that's one of those things where, again, you can call a timeout and hope the refs are going to change their minds, or you can say, okay, he's short. We see the replay. We think it's close. They're not going to have enough to overturn it. Let's keep this timeout. Let's wait until the clock goes on to 3 seconds. Call that timeout. Run the ball with 3 seconds left on 4th and goal. If you get in, you win. If you don't get in, you lose. Maybe you could argue that they wanted the Jets to possibly take a snap in their own end zone, maybe cause some chaos. That could be another argument. So I don't think any of this stuff is egregious, but I think there's arguments on each side. The punt coverage wasn't good enough a couple times. They gave up a big punt return on the first punt of the game, like 40 yards. Another punt in the first half got deflected. Fortunately, it was not a blocked punt. They gave up a 17-yard return later in the game, which gave the Jets great field position. So some of those special teams things, coverage-wise, can be better. You also had the Jets being the Jets. My goodness. 3 timeouts in the first quarter. Great job by interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich. 2 delay of games. One of the delay of games was on the final score for the Jets right before the 2-point conversion attempt. I have no idea how you can have a delay of game penalty in that situation. Aaron Rodgers knows what's going on. He's been in the league for 100 years. They had the ball. I mean, they were at the line of scrimmage with like 4 seconds left on the play clock. I have no idea how Aaron Rodgers can take that delay of game penalty in that situation. Just brutal. Brutal. They missed kicks. Greg Zuerlein was bad. I also didn't quite understand when they had their run game going in the first half why they were just obsessed with throwing the football. Felt like Rodgers just wanted to throw the ball. He was going to throw the ball 100 times if he wanted to. They had some opportunities to run the ball, especially in short yardage, and they just decided not to, and I think that bit him in the butt. I also thought Rodgers, we talked about this on Friday. He has no desire to get hit. He just wants to get rid of the football, and we saw that play out. Before week 3, Rodgers was not very good. Since the Patriots win week 3, Rodgers had not been very good. I thought Rodgers was okay yesterday. He was good. He made 3 or 4 great throws. The touchdown to Conklin was a great throw. Some of those bucket throws to Garrett Wilson downfield, those were good throws. But he's not the same guy. What we saw yesterday, that limited mobility, trying to get rid of the football and all, that's what I expected week 3 because that's what we've seen for the most part from Rodgers this year. So week 3 was more of the anomaly. What you saw yesterday is what Aaron Rodgers is right now as an NFL quarterback. Terry with the $10 super chat. Good questions from Steven. What do you think about Mayo giving the players 2 days off? Terry said, boo. I'm fine with it. I mean, look, they didn't win a game for, a month and a half. It's a nice win yesterday. A couple days off. Team's a little banged up. So I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, really, they're going to have a day off on Tuesday anyway. So it's really just giving them Monday. So they're giving them Monday. I don't have a problem with Gerard giving them a little bit of a gold star, so to speak, and giving them the day off today. Let them feel good for a couple days. But you got to get back to business on Wednesday and get ready for Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee got croaked. They got embarrassed by the Lions yesterday. So I don't know if it's going to matter because Tennessee's not very good. But you're going to have probably a very angry Tennessee Titans team. And you got to go on the road Sunday. So, but I didn't have a big issue with it. I'm fine. All right. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to subscribe. Those three things help us an awful lot. Don't take much of your time. Doesn't cost you any money, but helps us. Rate and review. Spotify, Apple Pods. Patreon page, $5 a month, $1.25 a week. Patreon.com/Nick Cattles. I talk about the Celtics, Bruins, Red Sox over there. I do some mailbag audio stuff, Q&A, off the cuff podcast. So you can check that out. Patreon.com/Nick Cattles. Back on Wednesday, 3:00 Eastern, live right here on YouTube. Till then, be well. Victory Monday. Enjoy it. Don't know how many we're going to have of these, but soak it in while you can. 2-6, Patriots now. Jets 2-6 as well. That makes me feel happy too. Everybody be good. We'll talk to you on Wednesday.